Good afternoon. This afternoon in Federal District Court for the Northern District of Ohio, the state of Ohio has sued Norfolk and Southern over the February 3rd derailment and subsequent toxic spill that occurred near the village, in the village of East Palestine. This is a 53 count complaint, 106 pages. And looks to hold Norfolk and Southern responsible for their actions. The train derailment caused the release of over 1 million gallons of hazardous chemicals, and it endangered both the health and area residents of the area residents and Ohio's natural resources. Among the things we note in the complaint are Norfolk and Southern's escalating accident rate. It's up 80% over 10 years. And that's a concerning number. At least 20 Norfolk and Southern derailments since 2015 have included chemical spills. This derailment was entirely avoidable, and I'm concerned that Norfolk and Southern may be putting profits for their own company above the health and safety of the cities and communities that they operate in. At least 39 rail cars have discharged substances that have made their way into Sulphur Run, Leslie Run, Bulk Creek, the North Fork of the Little Beaver Creek itself, and even the Ohio River, as well as some as yet unknown Ohio waterways. It's interesting, I was a few weeks ago in East Palestine. The village hall is actually built over Sulphur Creek. And while I was in City Hall, I not only heard from employees who said that they had developed sore throats and other irritations. The brief time I was in the hall, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I too experienced some discomfort. Clearly, at least at that time, Sulphur Run was still had plenty of discharged chemicals in it. There's been damage to the local economy. Citizens obviously were displaced, businesses shut down, and the state seeks to recover the costs, lost taxes, other economic losses. I will note that I'm a happy spot, and I want to thank the media for this. As a small business owner in East Palestine that owns Pizza Joe's. And he told me that in spite of the fact that he's lost most of his Pennsylvania business coming across the border because they haven't been able to get around the roadblocks, the media were buying enough pizza pies in town that they were helping to make up for that shortfall. So let it never be said that the news media doesn't help the local economy. There are numerous violations we allege in this lawsuit, state and federal laws and Ohio common law. The well-known law nicknamed CERCLA, which stands for the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, is the chief framework for the complaint. But we also allege violations of Ohio's hazardous waste law, Ohio's water pollution control law, Ohio's solid waste law, and our air pollution control law. In addition, we have common law complaints, first of all, in negligence relating to the defects in the train and the operation of the train. The public law or the common law of public nuisance, which includes the release of chemicals into the air, the public waterways, and the public land. And finally, the common law of trespass to address the contamination of Ohio's precious natural resources. We're seeking injunctive relief, civil penalties, costs, damages, court costs, and maybe more importantly, a declaratory judgment that Norfolk Southern is responsible. We're looking for recovery of costs and damages under CERCLA and Ohio law for our emergency responses, and payment of damages under the common law for our natural resources, property damage, and economic harm to the state and to its residents. We're looking for repayment of costs under common law, including present and future costs incurred by the state in responding to the emergency, providing public services, and preventing future harm to the environment and public health, restoring natural resources, and abating the nuisance. Of course, civil penalties are available under statute, and we're also seeking repayment of court costs. We're asking the court to require Norfolk Southern to conduct future monitoring of soil and groundwater at the derailment location and the areas surrounding it, and a closure plan to be ultimately submitted to the Ohio EPA. Finally, the complaint asks for an order prohibiting Norfolk Southern from disposing of contaminated soil on site, and also to refrain from polluting Ohio's waters. The fallout from this highly preventable accident is going to reverberate through Ohioans for many years to come. Big point of this lawsuit is to make sure that those long-term effects are not only not forgotten, but they are redressed. The company has repeatedly said that it wants to make it right. Our lawsuit is designed to make sure that they keep their promise. Yesterday, I met with a contingent of people from Norfolk Southern, including a couple of their lawyers. And I have to say, my office has done battle with industrial polluters in the past, where conversations have been anything but productive or cooperative. That was not the tone of the meeting yesterday. Norfolk Southern recognizes that they caused problems in East Palestine, that they've harmed the community and its people, as well as the state of Ohio. And they have expressed privately as well as publicly repeatedly that they want to do the right thing. They threw a few ideas on the table yesterday that I'm very interested in pursuing, including a fund to compensate for long-term losses to real estate values. When I was in East Palestine a couple of weeks ago, one of the things I heard over and over again from folks is, who's going to want to buy my house now? For most of us, a house is the most important and largest investment we have. The idea that it could be damaged or maybe even rendered valueless by this train wreck is disturbing to them, to me, and I am pleased that Norfolk Southern at least recognizes that and feels that they have some responsibility to address that. Also, there's been some discussion about improving the water treatment ability of the village. I think that's appropriate, and looking forward to further conversations. Governor DeWine has been in regular contact with me about this disaster and the state's legal options. One of the things Governor DeWine has asked me several times is how we make sure that there is a way to take care of folks who have long-term health impacts that might not be available right away or noticeable right away, is what I meant to say. And we've seen this happen in other situations. For example, some of the effects of the Desert Storm operation for the Department of Defense, or post 9/11. It was years later before some of the health impacts became apparent. Governor DeWine and I are both extremely concerned that those delayed impacts are also taken care of. And I'm pleased to report that our conversations yesterday with Norfolk and Southern, they recognized that and again have indicated a willingness to put money up toward a fund that will address those long-term impacts. Now, there's a long way between expressing willingness and a final program that is going to adequately address the damages that have been done here. This lawsuit is designed to make sure that Norfolk and Southern keeps their word to the people of East Palestine and the people of Ohio. We're going to pursue those discussions, but we're also going to make sure that the court process goes through and that the obligations are ultimately, whether by judgment or agreement, are enforceable. I want to particularly thank Governor DeWine for his cooperation and openness as we have tried to find facts over the last month. Also in East Palestine, a special shout out to the fire chief, Keith Dravick, who has worked tirelessly to protect his community. On my team, I'd like to thank John Fulkerson and Aaron Farmer, who have led the litigation team that includes Amber Wooten Hartline, Gary Kunkel, Catherine Walker, Greg Bachman, Mark Navarre, Morgan Sterick, and Nora Beatty. I'm really proud of these folks. They have worked nights and weekends trying to get this lawsuit put together and have it well-founded both in fact and in law. We're still finding out what the facts were, exactly what happened, who was responsible. And each day it seems that the picture gets a little bit more complicated, and I'm sure that there are many more facts yet to find. We're working hard to find those answers, to find the facts, to ask the right questions. And that too is part of the court process. Our pledge to the people of East Palestine and the people of Ohio is that we will not draw back, we will not give up, we will not surrender, but we will end in a place where there is justice for the people, for the economy, and for the environment.